So, hi everybody and welcome back to our C++ tutorial series for absolute beginners. This is video 121, and in this video we want to make a short exercise to train pointer variables, how to create them, use them, and so on. But this exercise is just about variables, so we are not using anything else. And yeah, let's get started. What you see here on the screen are many questions, and I will answer these questions, but what you should do is try to pause the video after I read the first question, for example here, and then try it on your own. And then when you are finished, press again the play button for this video, and then you can see how I solved it, and if you have the same answer or a different answer, and so on. Here on top, here is one more line which is important. You should explain what you did and why you did. So if you try to solve this first question here, and you should explain to yourself what you did and why you did this, right? Okay, that's the setup. We can start and we read the first question. The first question here says, create two int variables for two telephone numbers. All right, now you can pause the video, and then after you are finished, you can continue, but I continue directly because I don't need to pausing the video. Okay, I solved this now. Just so simple, this question here is, so also, of course, I will also say what I did and why I did. First of all, this question, what you see here, is very bad. Why? Because it says just int variables, but it says not what kind of int variables. There are many ways. We can create normal int variables, we can create reference int variables, pointer int variables, and so you see this question was really bad. But in this case, let's create a very simple int variable. In my case, I say int, and it says for two telephone numbers, so I have to create two. I say here telephone number 1, my first one, and I initialize it with a default value 0. All right, and I do this one more time because it says two telephone number 2 and also 0. And I use the integer because I want here numbers, and if you want even indicate that you want positive numbers only, you can do this. We learned something more. It was called this unsigned keyword. This one indicates you want only positive integer numbers here. You can make this too if you want. Why not? Let's do this. Of course, we want to learn, right? And yeah. So important is here also to mention, if you created here something like int x0, which is also right. This one is also right, but absolute bad, because this variable name, like I talked all the time about it, and I will still talk about it, because it's so important that you use in programming long variable names, which you read one time and you know this. I repeat this all time because if you get better in programming, right? So in future, I hope you get better. Let's go to intermediate and then to professional. If you have here a descriptive variable name, you are not even going to read the code which comes after that. You just, this little name will indicate all what you know, because most times, for example, you read function name, login account. This name, login account, would be enough for an experienced programmer to know how this login account is implemented, because he probably made this already, and then he will only check up this code if it's similar or not. So what I want to point out is, if the variable name is descriptive, long, and gives you a hint what the code will be, he's not going to read in future your code down. He's not really checking. He probably knows. And experienced programmers and very good programmers, yes, they will just read the name, the intention, what you want, and know the code below. That's why make all time a long variable. And the papers, the official papers and on internet, when you see the short variables, this is just for demonstration, the code concepts, not coding, right? That was X. Okay, now we have this one. Let's concentrate now. Okay, I hope you have this one. I read here the second thing. Here, let's repeat this one too. This is an assignment operator. This is I assigned them the default values to 0, and okay, this one we know. All right, let's go to the second question now. And here, create 2 string variables for 2 usernames. Okay, you can pause again, and I continue. And here it says again, string variables, very bad. Again, not specified. Want you pointers, want you references, what variables you want. Okay, it's very bad. That was my mistake, but whatever. Let's create normal variables, normal string variables in this case. And yeah, how we make this: std, standard library, the string, and it says for 2 usernames. Okay, I take this name from the description, user name 1, and a default value which is empty. Okay, and I make this again for the second one, and we have user name 2, and again empty with a default value. All right, and here, like all time, this is the standard library. This one, why is the color here different? Here this blue and here not blue, because these are built-in types, and this one is a user-defined types which comes from a library. And yeah, that's cool. Let's go on. So I hope this was all clear, and now it gets a little bit more interesting. This next thing says here, create 2 variable references. Okay, now it's a little bit more clear. It says we should create 2 references, and what says here, 1 for telephone number. Okay, I have here 2, and other for username. This one is again bad formulated because I have here 2, right? Which one? Okay, they have not specified it. I choose my own, but let's do it. So of course, pause the video again and start again after you finished, and then you can compare what I do. First of all, let's create reference variables. What is this again? A reference variable. And I must use here, it says a telephone number. What is the telephone number? Here I use this one, and the username. Okay, let's do this. I call, first of all, what I'm calling the reference value. I call it reference, for example, telephone number 1. So I know exactly with this name here which one I want reference, but I made here a mistake, right? We start not a reference with this. We are declaring a reference. So this is a declaration. Creation is all time a declaration. What we have to do, because this one is a telephone number, I must also use the right type. In this case, int. Then we have the reference telephone number, right? And then we have what? Here's one more thing missing. What is that? Reference has all time the ampersand. Don't forget this. It means now, okay, now this one will be a reference, and it is on the left side. That's very important, which means after this one I can make an assignment operator. And now it's very important to what I'm assigning. Here the telephone number, it has a int. This one is matching. That will work. Telephone number. And yes, very important how I assign it to a reference, because yes, that's very interesting too, how I assign it, because pointers has a different assignment and the normal variable has perhaps a different assignment. I assign it just normal, taking the variable name here. So that's it for the reference. I tried to explain it, that's enough. And we go on. And I have here a mistake. So what is the mistake here? A reference of type int, and it says here cannot be initialized with a value of type unsigned int. Oh, Do you see this mistake here? Because what is the mistake here? I used now here unsigned, but here this type is changed. Even this one is not changed actually, but it says here unsigned. And unsigned means this value can be only positive, and the compiler complains unsigned must be now also used. Okay, we find this out. Unsigned. Let's continue. Okay, and now we see, okay, that is working. So yes, let's go on. And I'm not finished. Why I'm not finished? Because I have also the username. And all right, the username should be now fairly easy. Let's do it as the string ampersand, then the reference name. Again, I write again reference, and then I write the variable name to what I reference. For example, here user name 1, and then the assignment operator and how I assign it just by using this here. This time I copy it because I type so slow. And yeah, all right, we have this. So I hope this all works, and yeah, we can hope. So let's go to the next question. Here it says create 2 variable pointers. Okay, create means here declare most time. One for telephone number and other for username. Again, yes, to which one? And because I used already this telephone number here, let's use this telephone number 2 here for this pointers. Just, yeah, we can use it because it's again not specified. It's not absolutely clear, but let's create first pointers. How we declare pointers? We learned this also. First of all, we want check to what we want to create pointers. It says here to telephone number. Okay, I will use the second one, and I see it has an unsigned int. And we learned when I can't just watch here int, I must use this unsigned int as well, because are only positive ones. Okay, and the other is just the username. And so now pointer, how we create declare pointers. Okay, we need the type. Okay, unsigned int. Then very important, what comes next? We can go here with the pointer symbol, which is this asterisk, and then the pointer variable. To make it clear, I call this one here pointer, and then the one which I'm pointing to this one, telephone number 2. Okay, you are pointing right now to telephone. This is telephone number 2. And then important is here. This is the right name. Yes, this is the right name. How we assign the value to it. Now it says here create 2 variable pointers, one for telephone number and one for username. How assigned here the pointer? Which is the way? Do you remember? It is the operator of address of operator. Which is this address of operator again? It is this ampersand, and then you need the address, the variable name, because you want the variable name of this address. And in my case, it's the telephone number 2. All right, I write there telephone number 2. All right, and now the same thing for the other, but this time I can't copy here this one just so, because the other one is username. It's a string type, so I have to start with std string, this time a string pointer here, and then I write here again pointer, because I want to know that this one is a pointer variable, pointer, and then I call this time I use the username 2. That's why I call it pointer username 2, but username 2, and then I assign it again, and then I use again the assignment operator, and then username 2. So, and here I have a problem. And what is the problem here? For example, For references, it makes sense to call them reference username 1. But makes this sense for pointers too? It's the question. Makes this sense? I mean, I called it here pointer username 2. Here pointer telephone number 2. This makes only sense when you are watching the start point, but the pointer can change the value. We learned this, right? Which means this pointer can has later other value, I mean other pointing to another point, but the reference here will all time stay to telephone number 1, which means here to call it reference telephone number 1 makes sense. It will all time be here. This one will only here at start, right? We have to keep this in mind because we can change the pointer. We can't change the reference. We can change only the reference value. All right, we keep this in mind, right? So this name makes not so much sense. It makes only sense at start. It gives you a hint for the start point where it's pointing at start, but later it can point to any other place and this name makes no sense. Let's change this name because if it's not good, then we have to change. Let's call this pointer telephone number and telephone number 2. Let's make it a little bit more general. Pointer telephone number 2 telephone number. Let's make it just to pointer telephone number without anything, not number 1, number 2, pointer username. Now it's very general because the pointer can change later to anything. All right. But in this case, it gives me a hint. It's a pointer to telephone number. And yeah, that's a little bit strange here. We have to think about this later. So perhaps you find a better name than me. I use just this one here and go on. So, and yeah, let's go to the next question. It says here, create 2 variables. Okay, again, not very clear at this point, but it says here temporarily null pointers. Okay, we should create 2 pointers which are null pointers. All right, let's create them. We already created actually here pointers, so it's not very difficult, but here we should use null pointers this time. Okay, let's make it. Let's make one for string and one for int because I need this later. This is also not very good specified, but yeah, we can make it. And this time I use, let's say, because I will work with probably with telephone numbers again, unsigned integer pointer. And this again, it's a pointer, but this time it is called a temporarily null pointer. And that's why I wrote here pointer temporarily, which means temporarily means all time it is changing its values regularly in use cases. And that's okay. Temporarily pointer temporarily. You can specify here one more thing, for example, temporarily number or yeah. You can specify which you are intending the pointer to work with. Let's say this pointer is telephone number, pointer temporary telephone number, and I assign it. So this is the declaration here. And now I need assign and null pointers. We learned this. What we use for null pointers, and we use it. The new one is the null pointer. You can see we have here options. Null pointer, there are even more options, but this one is the one which we are using. Of course, you can use this one, null, or even this one too, but these are the old ones. Don't use this. This one is specified the null pointer. All right, let's go and create a second variable. And the second variable is here. Okay, again, I use std string. Again, it is a pointer. And this time I use string. What's going on? It's okay. And I call it again pointer temporarily, and this time username. And again, this one should again a null pointer and null Peter. And you see here a difference to normal variables. A string can be set to null pointer, an unsigned int can be set by null pointer, but when we have normal variables, we have to set a default value, for example, empty, something like that, and default values, for example, for telephone numbers 0, which is then must match this one here, this int type and this string type, which you set by default values here. In this case, this assignment operator for pointers can set to null pointer, doesn't matter what type you have here in front. That's very good and makes all things easier. All right, so I have this one. I hope this is okay. And till now, we have made good progress. I hope you made good progress too and find solutions. And don't worry if it's not perfect. Just understand what you do. Try to understand what you do. And yeah, that's it. Let's go to the next question. It says here, create two variables temporarily null references. So how you would do this, pause the video again and make it. And I continue, of course. And the answer for this one is, that was a trick question. You should create here nothing. You should see at this point, here is asked for two variables. And it says temporarily null references. This is not possible because I said when we create a reference here, we create a reference here on top. A reference can't be set to null pointer or set to be 0. When you want to use a reference, you must find or assign a L value, which means here you must find a variable. In my case here on top, I assigned this value. It's a L value. L value means this one has a storage, right? I made this here, but if you try now, let's say you try the same thing here. Let me show you this at least. If you try to make this one with a, let's say here it says int, right? So, and you want here a null reference, which not exists. Let's say I write null, and you see it's not working because it says invalid value of references of non-cons must be an L value, right? It's not possible. References must be created with an existing L value, and I said this L value means all time anything which has a storage. In our case, this variable here has a memory address, which means it has a storage in our PC. Okay, that was a trick question here. You should realize references without a null reference doesn't exist. You have to create a reference directly with a place where you want to refer. All right, I hope you will get this too and have this right. Let's go to the next question. It says here, get the value. Okay, here it says, get the value of the created telephone number printed on screen. Okay. First of all, when I read something like that, which value you want, which created telephone number. Okay, we have created a telephone number, but we have created actually two telephone numbers. And I should get them. And how you want to get me them, it's also not specified. But the only thing which is here specified is print it on screen. Okay, so I have the choice how I want to solve this. Okay, let's go here down to my main, and I write this here std cout because I should print this on screen and I want to test this, of course. And what is asking again? He's asking here create not this one, that is get the value of the created telephone numbers. Here, this one. Okay, we copy these values here so that I have not too much type. Or let's make this so. Telephone number, copy this one here. And I have just to print them out on screen, okay? That was Very, very easy, I think. And I think that you should know by now too. This is just a normal variable call, right? We called them just normal. This is a use case of a variable because, and let me copy this line too here because I will put it on top. And when I start this, let's start this and see what happens. Yes, I get 0, 0, and this is expected. Why is this expected? Because the telephone number here and telephone number 2 is initialized to 0, 0 as the start value, and I just get them. It was just the values of these telephone numbers, and I put this here. Of course, I get here some errors because I should not put them here, but let's make here a comment as well. And this one is the answer. Let's put them a little bit out here. This is the answer. I must make comments so it's not complaining a little bit about the red lines. So, but this one is the answer. Let's continue. I hope that was right. And don't forget, try all this before I make it so you learn it. Also, because this is training a little bit at least. Let's continue. The next thing is, it says here, get the value of the created username printed on screen. Okay, the created username, the value created username, that's very easy too. I mean, this is the username, and that was too easy, which means I have just to copy this line here. Let's do this and write in the username 1 and 2. So that was username 1 and username 2. I mean, that was really easy. Sometimes we need easy things before the more difficult thing comes, right? And when I print this out, and I should make here perhaps all time a new line as well after this one, so that this one is all time below. And we see, yes, so I print out, and interesting is what you see here. You see nothing, but this is right, because I have initialized it with no value. So when we see here, yes, no value for username and no value for username. But if you want more indicating something, you can initialize it also with a default indicator. Something says no value, or something like that. But if you use nothing, I think that works too if you know it. All right, we did this. Perfect. So I have just copied this line here. Copy this line here to this one here. And this is our answer. Perfect. Again here, 2 plus 1, and comment this out. Not this way. Let's comment this out here this way. And yeah, and let's go to the next question. You can read it already and pause the video again and try it. It says here now, get the value of the created references printed on screen. Okay, the created references in my case is here, reference telephone number and reference username or number. So how I create this one on the screen, I mean, I not create on the screen, how I print this one on the screen. That is our job, right? So, and I have to think about it. Let's comment the other ones out and comment one. And yeah, I need definitely these variables here. That's first of all, but do I have to think something special about it? Because sometimes we can't use them, sometimes we can. References is actually very easy because they are just like other variables when we call them, which means I can use just the variable name and I get the values. Is this right? We check this and we see again we have a 0 and nothing. Is this right? And it is right. And why is this right? Because I should explain it a little bit, right? So, so the reference is connected to username 1, which is this, has nothing as value at this point. And the other reference here is connected to telephone number 1, which has 0. So the output here, when I start this one again, is right. We expected 0 and nothing. Perfect. All right, so we did this. And important here was that you know how to call a reference, because a reference called, for example, use case, use, is just like a normal variable. All right, that's also done. Let's copy this line here, perhaps here on top. And I answered this question as well. And yeah, Control V. All right, and you can try answer already the next one here, which says, get the value of the created pointers, both printed on screen. Okay, we have created pointers, right? Before. So I have created the pointer, this pointer, this. I have created many pointers actually. So which pointer he wants at this point. And it just say here, get the values of the created pointers both. Both means 2, but which 2? I have still many. All right, again, it's not clear. So choose which you want. I choose now this 2 here on top because they have probably values, and this one has just null pointers, has no values, so I print them out. All right, so how I do this? First of all, one more time reading the question, because what on pointers we have to be careful a little bit. And why we have to be careful on pointers a little bit? Because is he asking for the pointed values or the pointer value? And it says here, let's read the question one more time. Get the value of the created pointers. The value of the pointers, so not the pointed values. That's very interesting, and that's we have to there we have to be careful, right? When you read pointers, you have to ask yourself all the time what they want, the pointed values or the created values. And here in this case, you can see it is the created pointers value. All right, and how we make this now? And let's go here. And let's go here and do this again. Let's copy this line here. Copy. Let's paste this in. And first of all, I want this pointer values and this pointer values. So pointer telephone number. All right. Let's go here and write here pointer telephone number. Pointer telephone number. But I said, careful. This one, is this right? Or here you have to think, you want the pointed telephone number or the pointer value or the pointed value. In this case, we want the pointer value, and the pointer value is exactly this one here. And we get the other one too, which is pointer username. All right, let's write this one here. Pointer username. And when we print this out, we get what? We get the addresses, and that's very important because the pointer value is a address. We learned this, right? Pointers has a value as address. All right, that looks also right. That's cool. Let's copy this to our answer here on top. We check this one as well. We get till now. I hope you are good too. And if you have mistakes, no worry. Just follow along and learn the places where you had some misunderstandings. And yeah, let's continue. Important is that you try it, just so you see where you have errors and where you can learn or try to understand it a little bit more in detail. All right, so you see we have not so much. When we have finished this one, we are finished. So let's say it says here, get the temporary null pointer and null reference printed on screen. Okay, the temporarily created variables, which are they? Okay, this the pointer, no, temporarily here. And what is the other one? It says here, and null reference printed on screen. Temporal null pointer. Let's start here and then let's go here, step by step. We can't do all time at the same time, right? All right, I use this one here. Let's do this one fast. Copy here again. And let's see how we do this. And if we can do this, perhaps. All right. So first of all, let's where I am here. Temporally null pointer. I need this temporally null pointer. I have actually two temporally null pointer. So very bad question. I don't know which I have to get, because it says just get the temporal null pointer and the null reference. All right. Because I don't know which one, I choose just one. Because they are probably null. So I choose just this one here. In this case, I could also print out both, but now I just use this one. This is my null pointer. And here again, careful, it is again a pointer. And a pointer we have again asked ourselves, do you want the pointed value or do you want the pointer value? And in this case, it says get the temporal null pointer and null reference. It says just get. It just say get. It's talking not even a value. So we have actually not really a clue what we want here. So what you want, right? Get the temporal null pointer. Right, I can get it, but what you want me to print on screen. So it was again a little bit tricky and we don't know what he wants. So which means you can choose the pointer value or the pointed value. All right, let's say we don't know what you want. This is bad formulate. Let's see if we can answer the second one here. It says here and null reference. Okay, how it's the null reference? Have we a null reference? Oh, that was the place where we realized that's not even possible. All right, the second one is even not possible because there is no null reference. And the first one, get a temporarily null pointer. This is so bad formula. Yes, the question is so bad we don't even know what we should print out, because the value or the pointed value, what? So you can point out if you want here the pointer's value or the pointed value, or you can just skip both because they are both bad. It was just a bad question. You can blame the caller who made this question. In my case, you can blame me because this is really bad. All right, we skip this because it's bad. It's just bad. Or you just differentiate here and point out that you can say here, if you have so questions which are really bad, you can write your own thinkings down and say, this question is bad. I assume I show both possibilities, for example, all cases, and so on. Something like that you can also write, but yeah. But we can't blame you if you make here nothing, because yeah, it is just bad. So let's go on. We have again one of these crap questions. And here to the next point, it says here, assign the number 255 and the string coder, okay, these are clear, to the temporary pointers. Okay, which are the temporary pointers? Okay, temporary pointers I have here assigned a little bit, named a little bit. These are my temporary pointers. And now our job is to assign them values. All right, and how we are doing this? First of all, I need the name, because to assign it, I need a name. All right, let's go to this place here. And now I'm assigning to this, the watch, this one is the telephone, which is probably the number here. So I have to guess a little bit, and I have a problem. What? Because here I have to read again temporally pointers, and I'm assigning a value. how we assign a value to a pointer. What was the trick here when you have something like that? I think that we need the variable name. That's all time clear. But how I assign this value it, or can I assign this value it? Yes, we can. And we use the deferencing operator. In this case, it's again this asterisk, but it is called the deferencing operator. And when you do something like that, you will be able to assign it. It is just, the problem is I'm using it outside here and it's not possible to assign. And that's why I'm switching now places. I take all these questions yes, out and put them here down, because now I can assign operators here on top. Yes, it's not, it would give me all time an error. So now I assigned the value here, this pointer temporarily telephone number, to this value, and I need one more assignment, which is this coder. Let's do this one too, which is the second one. Here it is my pointer, this one here. Let's copy this name. And here the same trick. It's a string, but it works the same. We use again this asterisk. We pass, and this is called the deferencing operator. And deferencing operator means it is the pointed value and I can work with it. And I assign a new value to it. And this was here a null pointer, right? And this null pointer is now gone. And we have here, oops, and that was coder, the new value here, which I have. So, and when we watch this one a little bit careful, I have here, I think I have them here, not, we can point out the values. Let's do this one as well, because we want to check if this is okay. How I can check this fast, if these values are really in this one, or let's skip this, perhaps I will ask this anyway. Let's go on. This one is the solution. If you made something like that, then you are good, because important here was that you know that this one is the deferencing operator, and that if you use this one, then you can assign direct values. And of course, careful, you must check if the pointer is a string or a number, and you need then assign the right value to it. All right, let's continue. The next question is below, which says assign the number 255 again and the string coder to the created references this time, not to the pointer this time, references. So how, first of all, let's find the references. Okay, reference number 1, reference user number 1. Okay, I copy this one here fast and put them here, because I will use them in a moment. Not all, this one not. I just need here, first of all, I need the names here, which I want. And now let's do this. So how these are references. The question is here, how I assign references to values to references, because here we assigned values to the difference to pointers while we are deferencing. Here, how we do this with references, or can I do this? Let's see. I take this number and I write 2255. Okay, that worked. And this one, I write coder. Or oops. Okay, and we see when we have a reference, it needs nothing. It is just used like a normal variable here, right? And that's very important. Our reference is only used at start. It will be referenced, assigned to an existing point. After that, it is used like a normal variable, and that's why it looks normal. With pointer, it's not the case here. If we use a pointer variable value, you see we need this asterisk and a little bit more thinking with pointers. With reference, we think not so much. We think less. All right, that I hope you get this too. And we go to the next here. it says here, assign the temporary pointers, okay, this temporary pointers again, which I created to the second telephone number and second username. Okay, this one was now a little bit more accurate because it says at least the second telephone number and the second username. So here, when I watch this, my second telephone number, this one, my second username, this one, okay, I know which one I have, which one I have to work. Cool. But the problem is still, it says here, assign the temporary pointers. So again, an assignment, like a pointer assignment. But what I said, when we read pointers, you have to ask yourself, want he the pointed values or want he the value, or what should we do here? And in this case, it's a little bit different even. It says here, just an assignment, right? This is just a assignment of math. This pointers, the second one. And here we have to check nothing, I think. Let's do this. Let's make this. I copied this one because, oh, not this one. But yes, I copied this one because here are the names. Temporarily, no, it's not good. Here I have to be careful what I do, because if I assign the temporary pointers to something, that means I have to use this telephone numbers and second username first, because I assigned it. So, and how I'm doing this. Okay, let's temporarily again, pointer temporarily number. This is the telephone number which I want assigned, and then I want to assign it to the second telephone number in my case. Okay, I copy this name here. And then, and here, how I assign to a pointer this telephone number. How is this possible? This assignment here important. And an assignment to a pointer is all time, careful, this thing, what is called, I don't know the name. This is just a normal assignment, which means we need a address, the address of operator, this one, and then you put this one in, and this one is just the normal assignment to a pointer. So did we not do this already anywhere? Yes, we did this here. That was just the initial declaration assignment, and in this case, what we have here, it's a little bit different. Here, the pointer already was declared, we use it, and the pointer here is reassigned. That's very important. That's why I was here a little bit confused, because here we are reassigning that, and I have to mention this. Why I have to mention this? Because you will see what happens soon. So, and yeah, let's go on. I hope you made it faster than me, and of course the other one too. So pointer, this is not the pointer, temporarily username, yes. And I need again the assignment operator and this thing what I want assigned this time, the username to. Okay, and I assigned it here. Right, and made this so. And now you also notice perhaps it starts to get a little bit hard to track. What I mean with track and hard to get track. First of all, this pointer teleport number. Oh, that's not even right. I thought this was temporarily. Pointer temporarily telephone number. Yes, I made it even wrong because it was not autocomplete. No way. Also, careful, we have here a pointer telephone number, and I used accidentally this one, but we should use this one, pointer temporarily number, right? That was the question. You see, I made a mistake because I chose the wrong pointer. I hope you made it not like me. But this one I wanted not explain. What I wanted to explain is how to use the pointer. For example, here, when we assigned a pointer at start, this was a declaration, and this one here is also a declaration. Here we assigned a null pointer at declaration. Here we assigned a value at declaration. But here, in this case, we just use the pointer name, because we already declared you can only declare one time, like a variable, and then use it. And then you can assign again new memory addresses to it. In this case, I assigned the memory address of this number, the second telephone number, and the second username. And that was the real thing what I wanted to point out here, not my mistakes here. So here you should just know how to use a pointer after you declared it, and you use it just by calling it, by using it, the name, the variable name, pointer name. But again, it's a little bit hard, right, to see instantly what is what and what is not what. All right, I hope you was better than me. If so, then you'll get much better than me soon. All right. Now let's go to the next one. It says here, change the values of the created references to 111 and Wonder Woman using the temporally pointers. Oh, now we have here change the values. Okay, we are talking about values of the created references. So we are not talking about pointers here. That's at least not here at this point. We have find first of all, what are the created references? My created references is here. Create reference, telephone number 1, reference username 1. This is my created reference because I called it reference exactly for this case. I know these are my references. All right, and what I have to do then, I have to change the value. Okay, and what I would do if I would stop here, not reading this part, is just change the value of the reference. We learned how to do this. Did we do this already? And yeah, here. We learned how to change the reference at this point here, right? We have here the reference, telephone number 1, and then we assigned a value to it. And the reference number 1, user number 1, and then coder. But the problem here is, it says here, using the temporary pointers. So, what is that? That's a little bit strange, right? So how you solve that? It says here again, let's read this. Create the value of the, change the value of the created references here on top. Again, references is this, and it references the telephone number here. A little bit hard to track, but, and this one. But changing them would be very easy if I use just the reference itself. I could change this, but it says here using the temporary pointers. We have to think, what are the temporary pointers doing right now? Right now, the temporary pointer here is pointing to this address here, and the pointer to this one is pointing to this address here. And wait a minute, can we change these references? So with other words, I think that's not even possible right now, because I would anyhow access these references with these temporary pointers. And actually it is possible, but I have to change first the temporary pointers to these references where they pointing, and then I can set these values here. And I don't know why I made it so complicated. I hope it's because I don't want it too complicated normally. That's very strange that I made something so complicated. It's not complicated, it's just 2 steps more. But it's possible. But if you want, you can skip this, because normally what I wanted is that you use the temporary pointers which we have created here and assign here values. And now here I'm asking for values to the created references, which is here. It's possible, but you have reassign this temporally pointers, which means we have reassigned the pointers to these references here, and then we change this one, and these 2 steps I want to do later. Okay, I come back to this one here. If you did this one on your own, it is possible, but it takes a little bit more steps. Let's see what happens later. Okay, I come to this one back a little bit later. And if you did this one here on your own, perfect, then you are much better than me. That's very good. That's a good sign. If you are better than me, that's all time a good sign. And if you can't do it, no problem, then we are at the same level. Okay, let's go on. We are here. Here at this point, it says assign the created pointers. All right, the created pointers. Wait a minute, we have created 4 pointers. That's very strange. To the temporary pointers. Aha. Which means the temporary pointers are definitely this one. This 2 here. All right. And this one says assign the created pointers. The created pointers, when this one are the temporary pointers, then this must be the created pointers. All right. Again, a question which is very bad formulated. But yeah, we still have to manage it. And I think I used exactly that what I showed you, which means I will now, where is that again? Here, this one here. And I will now do exactly that. First of all, the created pointers. And here is important what I have to assign to what, because now we are dealing with 2 pointers, right? And when we're dealing with 2 pointers, it's very important which one you want assigned to which one. That's very important. The order is here a little bit very important. Keep this in mind. And it says here assign the created pointers to the temporary pointers, which means the created pointers are this one. And assigning to, so which means this one should point to this one. So which means I start with this 2 here. Let's copy this one here down. Because I want not to write. Okay, I copy just these 2 variables. I can all time start with the variables. If you have anyhow problems with variables, start with the variable name. Then you can think from this point on what you need, what you not need. In this case, for example, it's a good strategy, right? Assign the created pointers to the temporary pointers. So, and this is the temporary pointers, and now I have to assign the created pointers to them. Okay, how we do this, that's the important part here actually. How we assign pointers to pointers. Let me get at least the names here before. This is the pointer number. And the pointer number, it's your telephone number. This is a hint. And if you don't know what type the pointer is, because you see just the pointer name, hover your mouse over the variable name, and the tooltip says also gives you some information, right? It says right now, for example, unsigned int and pointer, there is an asterisk, and then the pointer name, pointer temporary telephone number, and we see even that this pointer has null and 0 at this point, at least, if this is true. So, but the question is now how I assign pointer to pointer, because we have used here pointer anyhow with deferencing anything, and we have pointer used here anything with, we needed here one time address of operator, and now the question pointers to pointers. How we do this? Actually very easy. Pointers to pointers need just the pointer variables. Why? The question, okay, but why? Because the pointer itself has a value which is a address, memory address, right? We learned this. The pointer itself has a value, the memory address. not the pointed value, which is not the memory address. But when we assign pointer to pointer, which means this one here on the right side is a value, and the pointer itself has this memory address, so we can assign this one here to this pointer, which is asking for a memory address. That is working. All right, cool. So with other words, for the other one, I make the same thing. I know this one is a pointer, and now I need just one more pointer. All right, the other pointer which I have to assign was this pointer username. Okay, and I assign to it. And with that said, we have a good amount. We learned a little bit thing, and yeah, references to using the temporary pointers. I'm a little bit confused why I use this one here, because this is not at this point possible. But let's go on. Here, the next question is change the reference variable values to 999. Oops. Control Z to 999 and Superman. So now we have to read again this one. It says here, change the reference variables. Which are this? And important values. Reference variables values. Okay. The reference values variables values is this one here. This one is my referenced variables, right? Let's copy them. And we have to change them. Okay, let's see. Like I said, if you have no clue, start all time with the variable name. You can't make there much wrong. And from this point, you have to think on. So I start with the reference variable names. Here I have it. And now I need to change them 1 to 999, which means this one is probably a number. So this one here. And then here we have, we will see something. And so how we change reference values. The question is how we change here reference values. Have we think about something special about it? And actually the answer is no. We already learned references, right, are treated most time as normal variables when we use it, which means I can just write here 999 without thinking much. It was only at start where we have to think much about references. The start point, yes. There we had to think using this ampersand and then, oops, Control Z, using the variable name and then assign it to an existing object at start. Yes, this was on start, but here we are not start. We have already created this one. This is not a declaration. After that, we can just assign the values to references. Okay, we repeated this one. Good. We trained this. I hope this was on you made this faster than me, because I spent too much time about this easy variable. All right. Then we are almost finished. It says here, okay. Very interesting why I have here so less printing things. All right, get all. Okay, let's go do this question here. It says here, print on screen the temporary variables pointed values. All right, so first of all, which variable we want? So on screen the temporary variables pointed values. Oh, this time this one is changed a little bit. But first of all, let's find the right variables. Temporary variables. Okay, my temporary variables are at this point here, this one. I need to use this one here, okay? And I can start again with the variables like I at all time do. But the problem is here it says print out, which means I have to use them. All right, then we start not with this. Then we start with a stdc out. And this pointer temporary values, right? And we have this already here. Pointer telephone number, no. Have I not this one already? All right, I have not. So, which means I have to write them. No. Copy, paste, and let's write this line and find the important is that I find these two names here. Copy this one and change this probably temporarily telephone number. Pointer pointer temporarily telephone number. The first one. The second one I need is pointer pointer temporary username. These are just the variables, careful. These are just the variables what I made here. This is not the question perhaps, because let's read the question one more time. It says here, print on screen the temporary variables. Yes, they are indeed the temporary variables, but it says here pointed values. Pointed, not values of them, of pointers, the pointed values. Like I said, when you read pointers, ask yourself, they want the pointed values or the pointer values. In this case, the pointed values. All right, and how we do this? And we use again the deference operator, which is this asterisk. Now, and here the same thing. I use here again the deference operator, and now I can use the this difference operator puts out the pointed values, which means the values which a programmer needs all time. All right, let's start this and see if this is working. And we have, I made something wrong. It says here, let's see what it says here. Oh. Pointer temporary telephone number was null pointer. Why it was a null pointer? That can't be a null pointer. We have an error here. It was at this point a null pointer. That's not possible. And let's see. At this point, of course, it's a null pointer. That's true. Now I know. Yes, now I know why I have this line here. Now I know why I have this. No, not this one. I can't do this because they are null pointers and I have not checked this. Pointers temporary number. Yes, there was null pointers. Of course I can't assign values to null pointers. So you can see I made a mistake because I have not checked what kind of pointers they are. Null pointers means they are not assigned to an address and we can't assign it. And I showed you, yes, I can assign it. Let's read this question here one more time and think and see what I made, what a mistake I made. I hope I irritated you not with my assignment here, because this one is wrong. These pointers are at this point null, and I'm trying to assign their value. And null pointer means you can't assign anything for it because this pointer is not pointing to anything. It's not pointing to a valid, it's called most time valid address. And the problem is why I have not seen that. I thought we assigned a value to it. Have we not assigned a value to this pointer temporary telephone number? I thought we have. Where is this? Here. Pointer telephone. Oh. I used the wrong pointer. That's why perhaps. Because this one is temporarily and this one is not temporarily. This one has a valid pointer. I mean, it's pointing to a valid place. And this one is null pointer, which means it's pointing to nothing. Which means this one was not even possible. Because this one is the temporary pointer. Alright, I made a big mistake because I mismatched this And if I would hover my mouse over this pointer here, I would even see that this one is null, because you can read the tooltip. It says they're null. It's right now null. And when I would hover now my mouse over the other tooltip, let's go here. Here it says nothing. Here it says anything. Let's create here the other one to show what I mean. And you see what I really mean. No, not with this one. I need this one. And we see a deferencing operator. And here, U55. And when I hover over this one, you can see create new variable pointers, one for telephone numbers. It has a strange description, but important is here, you can see it says not null, right? It says not null. The other one here, it says, okay, this one says null. This one says also nothing. Oh, that's bad. That's bad. There's also nothing, which is all-time bad. When it says nothing, it's all-time bad. And when I start this one now, yes, it's working now. Now it makes sense. The problem is here, null pointer assignment not possible. I was careless. I made a big mistake, and yeah, but you can see when you make mistakes like that, the compiler at least gives here a hint, but that's bad because sometimes, I mean, that the compiler gives you here a hint, that's very good. The bad thing is when the compiler would not give you an error. That would be really bad because this can cause problems. So, okay, this one, this values here was even not possible because they was null pointers. Let's document them out, or let's just delete them, because this line says it's not possible. Null pointers, you can't assign to a null pointer, which means there is no valid address, anything. All right. I hope you solved this line better than me, because that was crap. It must be safe. Okay, let's go to this line here again. It says print on screen the temporal variable pointer values. And now I'm going to try to print them here. And now we see 0 and nothing. And when we check the temporally pointed numbers, which is here, which is temporally pointed here at start, it was null. That was expected. Later, pointer temporally here. Here I made the right assignment. Here I give this null pointer a valid address, and careful, this is a pointer. It needs a memory address, and this way is to give him a valid memory address. And when I say valid, means all time an existing memory address. Null pointer is non-existing. When you see this null here, null pointer, it means non-existing memory address. And when you see something like that, it's an existing memory address. And now we can check this telephone number 2 and username 2 here. Okay, the telephone number 2 is 0. The username is not assigned. And exactly these 2 values we get. So it's okay. So that's also good. And we did this one here as well. So we can copy this one here to our answer here on top and use it almost. This one is here. That's okay. And we have still this one problem here, right? I said you can solve it if you want. And it says here again, change the value of the created references. Did I read this wrong? References, the created references are this one and this one. Yes. Okay. To 111 and Wonder Woman using the temporally pointers. So how we can make this? Let's try this. This is was a little bit more complicated, but we can make this. How we make this one here? First of all, let's start with anything what you might know. It says here the values of the created references. Let's get the references which we want to change. I want to change this one here, right? There's two names here. I just copy all of them. Here I write it here down, and I start again with the variable names. I have not clue what I want. Okay, this one are the, oh, this is the wrong place. Now I need to go, where was it? Here. Okay, here. I started with the with the reference variables. I start all time with the variables anyhow. And now I read a little bit more in detail what I want. These are the reference variables, which I would change directly normally. But the question is here, not use the temporary pointers. So I can't use this. Normally I would just use this and would write here 111. This is the alternative. This is, let's say, the easy solution. But this one is not asked here. This one is not asked. Too bad. We can't use this. We have now used the temporary pointers at this point. What is the temporary pointer here at this point? We have here pointer temporarily. I can see it here on top. Is this assigned to anything? It is assigned to telephone number. At this point, I have even to check where it is assigned or check what it is doing. And yeah, let's say I want to use them now. And this question says use these two pointers here. Okay, I copy this one because I need to use that. So I start again with the variables if I have no clue how to go on. These are the 2 pointers I have to use to change the values of these variables here. How the hell we make this? How we make this? We need first a connection, right? Anyhow, we need a connection to this referenced telephone number. And yeah, actually it's not too difficult, but it's for starters can be. If you have not solved this directly, no problem. If you have solved it, very good. Because what you can do is you take the pointer, right? Because we should use the pointers. Okay, then we start with the pointer. This is the pointer variable. Then you say, okay, I assign the memory address which I want change. And we learned with pointers, at least I try to say, a pointer can point to anything which has a memory address. And this reference here, it has also a memory address, which means I can just use now the address operator of, and I want change to this reference number 1 here. Okay. I say, I have now made a connection. My pointer, temporary pointer, is pointing from this point on to this reference here and of this address of this reference here. And the same thing I do with the next thing actually. I say, okay, I have a pointer. I use again the address operator and I use the reference. Okay, no worry, I use the reference here. And this one, careful, is all time the address operator, not reference and anything like that. This is a reference value, which can irritate a little bit, is a reference value, but this one is the address of operator of this variable name, which is a reference. So now I connected this one, and the question says here, I should change now this the values of the reference to 111, the reference telephone number, and the other one to Wonder Woman, and using the pointer. So, and that's why I was a little bit irritated, because now first you need to connect this one, right? And now you can use the pointers to change the value of the referenced referenced values, which means the pointer is pointing to the reference address, and now you can change it. And how we change again the pointed values? Yes, we use the difference operator, which is the asterisk, and we use then pointer, telephone number. Now we have, of course, used the right variable name. I need this one. I need this pointer, and this pointer I assign the value here is 111. All right, and then the same thing I go for the other one. Let's copy this name here and say, all right, for you too. And I assign here the value Wonder Woman. And then we have made this. So this one would be normally the normal way how you do it, but he was explicitly he was asked to use the pointers, and that's why it was a little bit complicated, more complicated than normal. And the idea is probably here that you have first find a connection to our reference, which we have not really talked about. We have all time talked, you can reference a variable, a pointer can point out to a variable. In this case, the pointer is pointing to a reference, not a variable. And like I said before, a pointer can point to anything which has an address. This operator, address of, if he can find a variable who has an address, this pointer will point to it. And yeah, that's why I said pointers are very powerful, but careful. Pointers are all C++ users and experienced users say try to avoid pointers, because they have also very bad bad bugs. Sorry, they cause also very bad bugs if you are not careful, and in practical use most time this happens, of course, accidentally, and it's hard to track down. Right, so I think we are almost finished with this one, but we can check out here one more thing. Let's check out if we really change this value here, because I just write here some strange things, and let's check this out. And I check this out while I have changed it here, so I have to make here a print statements from here. Why I have to use a print statement here on top? Why? It's very easy. Perhaps I'm changing this pointer value later here. When I click on it, you can see when I click on it, all the highlighted values means perhaps this one is changed again. That's why I have to check it here on this one, because down the road this is changed again. That's the only reason. And how we check this, I write here std out, and just what I have to write to check this. Again, we need the deference operator here. Why we need the deference operator? Because we want see the pointed value, not the pointer's value, which is this here, which is memory address. I want check now the pointed value, and oops, but not here. That was the wrong place, sorry. I need the place here after I changed it, of course. So here again, std say out, and here the difference operator, and point the temporal link. And you see this one here, and this one looks similar. This one is using for setting, and this one is used for getting. But if you watch careful, they are not similar. I mean, they are exactly the same. They are similar, but there is one thing different than, also here is something different than here. What is it? Can you see it? A little bit hard to see. The difference is this one is on the left side, and then you assign it a value, and this one here you can't see it, right, because it's using this overloaded operator, but this one is normally on the right side, which means you are getting the number. And I have not an example here where you can get the number. Perhaps we make this here as well as an one additional question, because that's very important too, I think. But let's print this first out. What was it? Point temporal username. And yeah, when I point this one out, we can see what? An error? No. And we can indeed see we have the number and the Wonder Woman and assigned it to this one here. It says here created graph and temporal pointers, yes. But oh, I made here a mistake again because I'm pointing out just the pointers. But here the question was I should change the created references. So it would make more sense to point out the references, not the pointers, because the pointers was just tools to change them, right? So we have to check if the references are changed again. That was my mistake again. And how I point out the references which I wanted, the references here, this telephone number, and so how we print this out? Yes, we print this out with just normal call, because references are used like normal variables after we create and declared them, which means this is very simple, at least a little bit simpler than the pointer. And here we go to this one, reference username number one name, here this one. And what we expect is the same thing here, right? I mean, yes, this one here, one and Wonder Woman. And oops, this was still working. I hope there was no problem. And when I start this one, what you can see now is, yes, that's what we expected. The references right here, they are indeed changed through the pointer to the values here. That was not a direct change, that was a change using the pointers. That was a little bit, yeah, that's why I was irritated, because I wanted normally not ask question like this one, which will indirectly use this one and this one, but it was a good exercise still. It's if you managed to answer this question here, which was a little bit more complicated, then very good and very nice. If not, no worry. We that's why we make these exercises, to see all these different things, and this is just the starting point. Okay, one more question I need to make, and that was how we can get let's make this one here back, because I want not print out this one. How we can get a pointer variable to assign a new value. Okay, let's create a question. For the last question we create together, and let's see, get the, let's see which pointer we want. Let's say get the pointer temporal here. Let's get this one and see what we have there. Okay, get the pointer temporal. No, let's get the name here. All time the telephone number. Let's get a name so that we not get the pointer get the temporal pointer. Get the temporal pointer for names, for user name, and assign it to what? Let's assign it to what? What we want assigned is, oh, get the temporal pointer pointed value for you username, and assign it to, let's assign it to what we can assign it. This is the temporal pointed point, right? And let's assign it to, let's see. Yes, to username 1. Let's assign it to this one. Let's see if we can do this. No, not the reference one. Sorry. To username 1. To this one here. I want to assign it to this one here. Okay, let's write this one here. Where is this? And assign it to created variable user name. Something like that. All right. And how we do this. This is our last thing. What we do, it again, you see again a shitty question not really clear, and I make it intentionally because we should understand that in programming sometimes, many times it's not so clear. You have to define and find the right answers. In this case, let's see, get the temporal pointed values. Yes, the temporal pointer, in this case, which one? Because we have again many pointers. It's not so clear, but in this case, let's use this one here. Pointer temporary username. Let's copy this one. Okay, we have actually only 2 choices here because I have only 2 temporary pointers made. But you see how it becomes more complicated even with good names. And okay, I get this one here. Oh, this one is the wrong place. Not here. I need it here. And then what I have to do is username and assign it to the created variable username. So I have this one. I have this one to assign to the username, which is this one here. So normally I should start with this one, right? Because this is the assigned value here. So, and how, let's make it this way. And now I have to find to connect them anyhow. This is the username, and how I assigned a pointer's pointed value to the username. We learned this. Yes, we are using the difference operator, and now we are assigning it to the username. Important is that you check that the type is also right. This is a string, this is a string, and here you can see that what I mean, that this one is on the right side, and this one is and you get the value and assign it. And there was an example here which was on the left side, which means it get assigned to this value. Yeah, I hope you was better than me. You see, I made here myself many mistakes, but if you made mistakes as well, don't worry. Most mistakes you will find, not all, most mistakes when you start this one, like my null pointer assignment try, and you will find, but the problem is there are many mistakes you will not find as well. We have not talked about the problems, but we will. But I think I stopped this exercise here, and if you made it better than me, because you saw I made myself many mistakes, then you are already in a good way to become a super programmer. And if you made more mistakes than me, don't worry, that's why we make it. You are a starter and I'm not a starter and make mistakes. That's even worse for me, not for you. You should make mistakes. That's normal to learn it, because you learn this one. That's it. And in future you get anyway better and better when we use more and more this one. So I stopped this video. I hope it helped a little bit. If not, don't worry. We will code more in future. And we will talk more about pointers, because we just started with pointers. And we need to connect them with functions as well, and talk about in connection with functions. You see, we talked here most time only pointers with variables, but yeah, there are much more about it. So with that said, I stop here. If you have any questions, any complaints, like all time, write it in the comments. And good luck, and see you in the next video. Bye.